We have about 7,500 rental property owners in Long Beach overall, and the majority of them are quote unquote the mom and pop. And it's very difficult to try to explain to them what's going on politically because, quite frankly, they're at a loss and they've taken huge hits financially with tenants not paying due to COVID or using the excuse of COVID. A lot of them have their own mortgages that they have to pay. Well, it makes it very difficult for them. And we're trying to find solutions and answers, but quite frankly, it's not coming soon enough.
Today we're interviewing Mike Murchison so that we can learn about the upcoming policies that could impact apartment ownership in 2021. Mike is super knowledgeable when it comes to policy impacting smaller apartment owners, or in fact, all apartment owners. In the city of Long Beach, there's 7,500 apartment owners, and Mike has his finger on the pulse on policies that impact the way that they own and manage their buildings. Here at Sage Real Estate, our goal is to keep apartment owners like yourselves educated on new policies, new laws, everything that's impacting the way that you own and manage your building. And the purpose of interviewing Mike today is to find out about new policies that are going to be proposed in 2021. We're going to talk about the city council, his views on the direction that they might take laws that are going to impact apartment owners. And so it's important to be prepared and to not be caught off guard. And so today's interview is just to get information and let you guys decide on what you should do next with your building. Today we talked about the current policies that have been passed.
There's been the last one, working my way backwards, has been the tenant harassment policy. That is a policy that Berkeley, Oakland, Santa Monica, and a few other cities had in place. What Long Beach didn't do back on election day, November 3rd, is they didn't have a bad faith clause inserted in that harassment policy. That made it very, very difficult for rental property owners to go to court and win when the tenant really didn't have to prove that the landlord was deceitful. So we worked, SPOA, the Apartment Association, CAA worked with several council members to put that bad faith language back in there. We were successful in doing so. So although we have a harassment policy on the books in Long Beach, we have bad faith clauses in there that basically force the tenants to prove the deceit by the landlord. Okay. So that's probably the latest policy that came into play.
In this interview, one of the biggest questions that I think everyone has, anyone who's an apartment owner, is what's going to happen with the eviction moratorium that's set to expire January 31st of 2021. Mike is going to share his insights on what he expects and how that's going to impact you.
Prior to that, the city was kind of mirroring LA County, and LA County was setting up the eviction moratorium, and they're basically continue it from basically prior to the pandemic. Long Beach followed that for some time. We wanted to see if you were going to extend the eviction moratorium, some kind of a payback clause. We never got that in the Long Beach eviction moratorium ordinances. However, the county took over the role of the eviction moratorium. Long Beach doesn't have an eviction moratorium in place anymore. It's strictly through LA County. So Long Beach follows what Los Angeles County is doing. What I'm hearing is that Sacramento's got several bills that they're moving forward. One by David Chu, that I think is AB 15, but they're going to extend that eviction moratorium. Whether they extend it to the end of March or they extend it to the end of 2021 remains to be seen. Given the way the legislature is moving, given the way politics are moving forward, I would guess that the eviction moratorium is going to go all the way through 2021. I don't see that stopping because the concern, one, from tenant organizations is that you're going to have a massive amount of evictions occurring, okay? We all know that all we did was pump the ball down the field. We never had a solution. So my fear is that once the eviction moratorium goes away, there's going to be a tremendous amount of people going to civil court to file for evictions.
That means that on a worst case scenario, for some of our owners out there who have had difficulty collecting rent, some of the owners will go up to a year and a half without collecting income, which is not good for anyone out there. One of the questions we asked Mike is what's going to happen with our city council. There were some changes and we got Mike's view.
From a business perspective, we have a very progressive city council that's been elected in there from the November election. So it makes it even more difficult to operate from a business standpoint in Long Beach, at least from my opinion. You had Cindy Allen that was elected in the 2nd District over Robert Fox, and Robert's a rental property owner. Al Austin was reelected in the 8th, but that was a tough battle too. It's still a progressive city council, probably more to the left than we expected. The vice mayor wasn't elected, he was appointed by his colleagues. It was a 5-4 vote. Shows you the divisiveness on the city council. Was a 5-4 vote. Rex Richardson, who was formerly a vice mayor, is the new vice mayor. There's 5 votes for a lot of progressive policies, and I would anticipate that you're going to see a lot of progressive policies in 2021.
Mike calls our city council now, he said it's very progressive. Okay, so expect laws to possibly, what he's saying is not be pro-business, which obviously would not be good for apartment owners and for business owners in the city of Long Beach. He says that it's really important that apartment owners, business owners get involved in leadership roles so that we could help shape some of the change that we expect. We also talked about new laws that maybe come 2021.
I think one you have to watch very carefully is PRIP. We fought back in 2015 and we were able to make PRIP kind of, I'll say weak, if you will, not as strong as it could have been. And that's, involving the code inspectors and the code enforcement department. My recommendation, you may want to host Oscar Orsi. He's the head of development services. And I think it's very important for your clients and for other rental property owners. They need to spend time in getting to know Oscar and his staff because quite frankly, they're the ones that implement council's policy decision. They're the ones that are asked and tasked with coming up with recommendations. So it's important for rental property owners as a whole to have a seat at the table. So one big issue to me is PRIP. And is PRIP going to be strengthened, which would be anti-landlord? Is it going to be strengthened in 2021? That would be number one.
Okay, so that's where there's a city policy that has inspections going on throughout the year on apartment buildings. It looks like that might be strengthened. That means that, so maybe there's going to be more inspections or they're going to be increasing those throughout Long Beach. He does recommend that we take a leadership role, take an active role in getting to know the inspectors, code enforcement, staff, and get involved so that we could voice our concerns and have impact in the laws that are being passed.
There's not a lot that's left on there. There's going to be some progressive policies. Of that, there is no doubt. There's going to be progressive policies that will be brought forward in 2021. What they are exactly remains to be seen. I think the important thing is we need a voice at the table, and we need more rental property owners at the table communicating not only with city council members, but before that happens, they need to be and understand city staff. And I know that seems like an extra step, and a lot of rental property owners don't want to bother with that, but that's where a lot of policies stem from. They stem from development services, which is the planning and building department. Oscar's team and all that, they're challenged with creating these policies, coming up with recommendations based on what other cities do. So I would encourage you and your client base to meet with Oscar and his team. Just kind of get a feel for what they see and what's going on with PRIP, what's going on with future housing discussions. You're going to see a lot more low-income housing developments in Long Beach too.
2, they're talking about a housing bond that would be a tax, not just to apartment owners, but all homeowners.
So it's not so much multifamily as much as they're creating housing, which is going to mean more taxes. So you're going to watch that to see if they try to do a special election. Maybe they tie it to the mayoral election. I don't know how that's going to work, but Rex has already tried to pass a housing bond before. So I think you have to watch out on the horizon for a housing bond here in Long Beach.
Now, when it comes to policy issues regarding apartment ownership, he said the number one issue coming next year is a possible mayoral election. And he said that's going to be or have the biggest impact to us apartment owners. Let's get his thoughts on it.
Our mayors, in all likelihood, in my opinion, going to be leaving and going to D.C. Today, Newsom announced that Secretary of State Alex Padilla is the new United States Senator replacing Kamala Harris. Our mayor was mentioned for that position, but I think that the stronger bet is that he's going to go to D.C. in some position in the Biden administration. And I would anticipate that's going to be in February or March. He'll make the announcement. The city clerk has to call for a special election within 88 days of that announcement. Councilman or Vice Mayor Richardson, I'm having a hard time remembering that. Vice Mayor Richardson is a candidate and everybody knows it, along with State Assembly member Patrick O'Donnell will be a candidate.
Mhm.
So there's already two that are working behind the scenes to position themselves, just awaiting the mayor's announcement.
Now, it's all not negative. Mike's going to share some thoughts on development. And what he tells us is he goes through a series of developments that are going on in Long Beach.
You're going to still see downtown development, high rise. There's opportunities down there at Pine Ocean. There's probably going to be a high rise hotel. It's been going through the process there south of the Renaissance. The Shoreline Village is going through a major remodel. So that's exciting and that's moving forward. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Queen Mary, the long-term leaseholder there, because Urban Commons has been having some issues. I still think they're bullish on downtown development. You're going to see probably some scaled down project of Golden Shore area across from the Hilton Hotel on Ocean Boulevard. PCH and Second, there's new zoning there. So the Marketplace Shopping Center, PCH and Second development, the wetlands area, Marina Pacifica, and where Gaslamp and the Bahia Marina and that hotel are, that all got new zoning a month or two ago by Coastal Commission. The new zoning is called CSIP, S-E-A-S-P. For just as an example, the Marketplace Shopping Center that everybody knows where the Trader Joe's is and all that, you're now allowed not only to do retail there, but you can go up to 5 stories of housing. So there may be the possibility that you could see some high-end housing there. For seniors, that type of thing. So there's going to be some changes in that area. If you go way up north, Atlantic Artesia, you can see some of the new development that's occurring there. There's an RV storage project that just passed by Planning Commission that's coming to City Council for the former driving range off the 710 and Pacific. In late 2021, you'll see a vote on residential housing in the 7th District. It's called the Oil Operators property in Councilman Uranga's district. Contaminated piece of dirt that's used by dune buggies and motorcycle guys now. That's up for single family housing. So I think there's still a lot of people that are positive and bullish on Long Beach from a development standpoint, and we'll just have to see how these tenant issues play themselves out over the next year or two. There was a major announcement about Gulfstream leaving, and while that was a huge hit, there's been a tremendous amount of interest in Gulfstream's buildings out there at the airport. The amount of different types of aviation companies, industrial companies that want in on that, it's unbelievable the amount of interest the airport has. So you're going to see a lot of interest in the first quarter of 2021, probably an RFP by the airport to see who's going to take over those leases. Then on the west side of the airport, Cherry and Wardlow, that area, they just did the Globe Master Plan. It was passed by Planning Commission and it's going to City Council in the first quarter of 2021. That Globe Master Plan basically rezones the whole entire area over there at Cherry and Wardlow, both on the airport and adjoining the airport. So when you go north on Cherry, north of Wardlow, there's a lot of old retail and old offices there. There's a vision to turn that around and really bring that, much like what you saw over at Douglas Park. They're trying to bring that over to on Cherry Boulevard there. There are some issues with traffic and that type of thing, but it's an exciting vision for an area that really hasn't had any redevelopment for a very, very long time.
So clearly there's a lot of development, and we know that that's a positive thing because of the domino effect that's going to have on our economy. My biggest takeaway from the interview with Mike Murchison today is that we as apartment owners need to be more involved. We need to take on leadership roles. We need to be on planning commissions. We need to be raising our hands, stepping up. We need to be joined as a group.
One of the other areas I think would be important is if you got clients that live in Long Beach and own rental property, applying on different commissions in Long Beach, but there's going to be planning commission appointments, water commission appointments, harbor department, port commission appointments. Our mayor appoints those commissioners. They're ratified by the city council. The more that we have prudent business people on those commissions, we're better able to shape policy. One of the important things coming up in 2021, assuming the mayor leaves, is going to be the mayoral election. I can't think of a more important position for the community than what happens in that slot. You need the right mayor in office, so you got to consider that when you're watching that. You're going to see a special election probably May, June, July. For rental property owners, that's a big one. The group needs to be more actively engaged in what's going on because policies are going to come down the pike. And so the more that your client base gets to know Oscar and his team in development services, know their council member, has any questions on policy issues, please feel free to have them reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help.
Because if there was something that I heard, that you're either at the table or you're on the plate. And right now, this last year, it seems like a lot of laws were being passed around us, and we need to stop asking ourselves, who's looking out for the interests of small mom and pop owners? I think it's time that we all take a leadership role in getting involved and help make change and policy that we believe is more beneficial to the city of Long Beach. So there you have it, my interview with Mike Murchison. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot, got some key takeaways. Again, our goal here at Sage Real Estate is to keep you up to date on everything having to do with apartment ownership. Every situation is unique and a little bit different. So if you'd like some more information, please feel free to reach out to me or leave a comment below. If you found this video valuable, make sure to like, share, or subscribe, or please leave a message below.